Hi guys, it's me Terri of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. Well, I wanted to do this cute little tutorial in time for Easter. I think it's really cute. This can be used for Easter or for Easter decoration or for anytime you need a cute little bunny. So in today's tutorial, we are going to make the Hoppy Easter Crochet Bunny Basket, and this is a pattern by Yarnspirations, and I will link the link to the written pattern in the description box below. Okay, so this is the little basket that we're going to be making. It's not little, it's kind of big. But anyway, super cute. He's got this cute little face in the front. I can't get him all in the camera there. Little pom-pom tail in the back. I think it's super cute and really roomy, and I think it can be used for multiple uses besides for Easter decoration. Okay, so what you need for this bunny, now I did use worsted weight yarn. I used Red Heart Super Saver in the colorway Buff for his body. This is all I have left right now. But it's Red Heart Super Saver. Okay, it's a 4-weight worsted weight yarn. Okay, so I used that. For the ears, I used just some Premier Just yarn that I happen to have. Picked this up at Dollar Tree, and it's just a pink color. And I'm using Red Heart Super Saver in white for whiskers and pom-pom tail. Okay, you're going to need a set of safety eyes. If you want to use safety eyes, you can sew in or embroidery eyes if you prefer. I used 12mm safety eyes. The pattern actually called for 6mm, but I thought it looked cuter with larger eyes, so I used 12mm safety eyes. Let's see, you're going to need some pins to help pin in the ears to position them where you're wanting to use to sew them in. As far as crochet hooks, you're wanting to use the pattern actually calls for a 4.5mm crochet hook to make the basket, but I ended up using a 5mm hook because for the basket, you're going to hold 2 strands together to crochet the body of the basket. Everything else is single strand, okay? But I felt like it was more comfortable to work with those 2 strands together if I used a 5mm hook instead, okay? And then you also are going to need a 3.5mm hook, which is an E hook, and that is for the nose and for the inner ears pieces, okay? Okay, and then of course you're going to need a yarn needle to sew your pieces. I don't know if I said that already. A stitch marker, scissors, tape measure. This cute tape measure, it looks like a ball of yarn. Tape measure to measure a few pieces that you need to measure while you're working. And I believe that is it. Okay, so let's get started making this awesome, cute little basket. Okay guys, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to hold 2 strands together. We're going to take the yarn we're using for our main color for our basket and our larger hook, and we are going to attach our yarn to our hook with a slip knot. Okay. And then now I'm going to chain 2, but I want to chain 2 kind of loosely, not very tight. Especially the first chain, okay? And now we're going to work into that first chain, which is the second chain from the hook, and we're going to do 6 single crochets into that first chain, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and just keep working over this starting tail. 5 and 6, okay? Okay, and now, oops, we can pull on our beginning tail to tighten it up a little bit. We're going to join with the slip stitch into the first first stitch of this round. So we should have 6 stitches in this first round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to work a slip stitch into the first stitch of the round to join. Okay, and then chain 1. Okay, so that was round 1. You should have 6 stitches in that round. Okay, going on to round 2, we're going to do 2 single crochets each in each stitch around, okay? So 1 and 2 into our first stitch, okay, just like that. 2 stitches in our next, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2, okay? And we're going to do that all the way around, and the end of this round we should have 12 single crochets, okay? Because we're going to do 2 in each of the 6 stitches that we have from round 1, okay? And I will meet you when I get to the end. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 2, and at the end of round 2 you should have 12 stitches all the way around your circle, okay? And now I'm going to join with the slip stitch into the first stitch of that round, just like that, okay? And then I'm going to chain 1. Going on to round 3, I'm going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 and 2, okay? And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And that's our sequence for this round. 2 single crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch, okay? And so do that all the way around for the remaining stitches, and I will meet you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 3, and at the end of round 3 you should have 18 stitches around your circle now. Okay, I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch of this round to join, okay, and then chain 1. Now I'm going on to round 4. In round 4, we're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 and 2, okay? And I'm going to get my stitch marker and start using it now. So I'm going to put my stitch marker into the first of those 2 single crochets that we just made into that stitch, okay? That signifies our first stitch of the round, okay? And then going on, we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So 1 in the next stitch and 1 in the next stitch, okay? And that's our sequence for this round. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2, okay? And we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end of this round. Okay, I just finished round 4. At the end of round 4, you should have 24 stitches all the way around your circle. Now I'm going to join with the slip stitch into the first stitch of that round, okay? Chain 1, and going on to round 5. So in round 5, we're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 and 2. And I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm placing my stitch marker into the first stitch of that round. Okay, the first stitch of those 2 single crochets that we just made, okay? And then going on, I'm going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, okay? And now I'm gonna, and that's my sequence for this round. So I'm gonna do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3, okay? And we're gonna repeat that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 5, and at the end of round 5 you should have 30 stitches around our circle now. Take out my stitch marker, and I'm going to join into the first stitch of the round with a slip stitch, and then chain 1, okay? And then going on to round 6, I'm going to do 2 single crochets into that same stitch, the first stitch of the round. I'm going to do 2 single crochets into that stitch, okay, 1 and 2. Get my stitch marker and put it in the first of those 2 single crochets I just made, the first one. And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? And that's our sequence, okay? So it's going to be 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 4 stitches, okay? And then we repeat that sequence, and we're going to do that all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I just finished round 6, and at the end of round 6 you should have 36 stitches all the way around your circle. Okay, so I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch of that round with a slip stitch to join. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm ready to go on to round 7. Okay, so for round 7, we're going to continue to do our increases. This is just the way we've been doing it. Okay, so we're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, place our stitch marker in the beginning of this round, the first stitch of those 2 that we just made. Okay, and then now I'm going to do 1 stitch, 1 single crochet each in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and that's our sequence for this round. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 5 stitches. Okay, and that's our sequence for the round. So I'm going to keep doing that sequence until I get to the end, and I'll meet you up there. Okay, so I just finished round 7, and at the end of round 7 we should now have 42 stitches all the way around our circle. Okay, taking out our stitch marker and going on to round 8. In round 8, well, first we're going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch of this round, okay, and then chain 1, and now we're ready to go on to round 8. In round 8, we're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 and 2, okay. Place our stitch marker in the first of those 2 stitches that we just made. Okay, and now we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and that's our sequence for this round. Okay, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 6 stitches, okay, and then we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end of this round. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 8, and at the end of round 8 you should have 48 stitches all the way around your circle. Okay, so I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch of this round. Okay, chain 1, and going on to round 9, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, put our stitch marker into the first of those 2 single crochets that we just made. Okay, and now we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's our sequence for this round. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 7 stitches. Okay, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I just finished round 9, and at the end of round 9 we should have 54 stitches all the way around our circle. Okay, going on to round 10, this is the last round of increases that we need to do. Okay, so going on to round 10, first we're going to take our stitch marker out. We're going to join this round with a slip stitch and chain 1. Okay, and now we're going to go on to round 10. We're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 and 2, the same stitch that you slip stitched into. Okay, we're going to take our marker and we're going to mark the first stitch of those 2 that we just made. Okay, and now we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so that's our sequence for this round. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 8 stitches, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end of this round. Okay, so I just finished round 10, and at the end of round 10 you should have 60 stitches all the way around your circle. Okay, and that is all of our increases, because so from now on we're going to stay at 60 stitches all the way around for our stitch count around. Okay, so I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of this round, except that when I'm join, I'm only going to put my hook into the back loop of this first stitch to join, not in the front loop. Okay, because the next round we're going to do back loops only all the way around our circle. So I'm going to do a slip stitch into the back loop only, okay, of that round. Of that first stitch. Okay, and then chain 1, and that's my join. Okay, now going on to round 11, we're going to just do 1 single crochet each in each stitch all the way around, no increases, but we're going to do all those single crochets into the back loop of our previous row. Okay, so into this same stitch that we slip stitched into, working in that back loop of that stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet, and that is my first stitch of the round. So now I'm going to put my stitch marker into that stitch, because that's the first stitch of the round. And then going on, I'm just going to do 1 single crochet each in each stitch all the way around, but working only in the back loops. Okay, that is going to help us to cause our piece to start working up. Okay, it makes kind of a corner. I don't know if you call it a corner because it's round, but it's the start of the wall of our basket. Okay, it makes it change direction. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so just 1 stitch in the back loop all the way around, just in the back loops. Okay, and then I will meet you up when I get back to the beginning, or work my way around the circle. Okay, so I just finished round 10, where I did 1 single crochet in the back loops only of all the stitches all the way around, and as you can see, when you do that, it starts bending up, or it starts going up instead of staying flat. Okay, and that is what we want, because this is now we're going to work on the height of our basket. Okay, so go, and we still have 60 stitches all the way around. That stitch count will not change. Okay, so periodically you should go ahead and count your stitches ever so often, every few rounds or whatever. Make sure you still have 60 stitches all the way around. Okay, and so let's go on to round 12. Okay, so I'm going to take my stitch marker out. Get stuck. Okay, and now I'm going to slip stitch, and now we are working under both loops of the stitch, not the back loops only. Okay, we just did that for that one round. Okay, so we're just going to do a slip stitch to join, and then chain 1, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in that same stitch, and that is the first stitch of our round. Okay, so I'm going to put my stitch marker back in there, or into that first stitch that we just made. Okay, so now all we're going to do is we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay, no increases. Stay with the 60 stitches for our stitch count. Okay, so we're just doing that. We're going to do 1 single crochet all the way around, and then when we get to the end, we're going to join with a slip stitch into that first stitch that we marked as the first stitch. Okay, and then chain 1, and then continue on and do the same thing. 1 single crochet all the way around. Okay, and then you're going to join each round. Okay, and so we're going to keep doing that until your piece measures 8 inches, okay, and 8 inches tall. So 8 inches from that round where the back loops, the front loops were unworked on round 11. Okay, so you're going to just put your basket down, and then you're just going to measure up the side. Okay, and you want that to be 8 inches tall. Okay, before we go on to the next part of the basket. Okay, so that's your homework. 1 single crochet in each stitch around, join each round, and then chain 1, and then continue on. Okay, move your stitch marker each round to mark the first stitch of each round. Okay, and I will meet you back when my piece measures 8 inches high. Okay, and I was going to mention that it is pretty stiff working with holding 2 strands together, or at least it is for me, because I tend to be a tight stitcher, tight crocheter. So if you need to take breaks, definitely take breaks. Rest your hands, you know, maybe look up some hand stretches for yourself to ease up your hands. You know, take a break, just, you know, pause the video and then come back to it when you've got, after you take a break, and you have, then continue on and get your 8 inches height, and then I will meet you back here, and we will finish up our basket from there. Okay, we'll see you when we get our 8 inches. Okay.